Hi guys, so the Attorney General is the most senior lawyer in the land. He or she is the government's chief legal advisor, and they provide, along with their team, advice to government ministers on what is lawful and on what is not. When government wants to introduce new legislation, it usually runs it past the Attorney General in order to ensure that it isn't challenged in the courts or in breach of international agreements. The current Attorney General is a Brexiteer, and this is what she had to say about publishing advice she has given to Boris Johnson's government about a bill that would break an international agreement.
I just want to ask a really sort of simple question. You're saying that there's a convention not to publish the legal advice, but at the same time, we are in quite an extraordinary situation. The situation, of course, in Northern Ireland, extremely fragile. Lots of people are very, very concerned about what's happening there. Will you commit to publishing the legal advice on this?
The Foreign Secretary's made clear that we're going to be publishing a statement setting out the government's...
That's a bit different though, isn't it? So can we just unpick that bit? Will you publish the legal advice that you gave to the government, or are we just going to rely on a statement? What will be in that statement? What's actually happening?
No, we're not going to publish the legal advice. It's incredibly rare for the government to publish its legal advice. I don't think it's actually ever really been done before. So there are, any lawyer will know legal advice is privileged and confidential. That means even more in the context of government. And, this is an important issue. And, the government has the right to keep its legal advice private and confidential. I hope you'd respect that, as anybody else has that right. But I think that what the government is doing, as I said, it will be setting out a bit more detail about the legal basis so that people have a bit more of an understanding about why we think the action taken is lawful.
Now, I don't believe it is lawful, but I'm not a lawyer and I'm not an Attorney General. She's talking here about, well, first of all, she said that she's not going to publish the legal advice, and that's understandable. Okay, it's not normal for governments to publish legal advice. I think this is maybe a special case because this is about potentially breaking an international agreement. This is not just legal advice on whether you can pass, a particular type of bill, what's contained within that bill, but this is about breaking an international agreement, something that was signed 3 years ago by Boris Johnson. So I think it would be in the public interest to see the legal advice, to understand how it's possible that the government can break the law, because this would be breaking the law. It would be breaking an international agreement. Now, what's interesting about all of this as well is that she said here that this has not happened before, but I don't think that's correct. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but I'll leave a link to this. I'll leave a link to this document in the description of this video, and I do recommend you read it. This is from Parliament itself, and it says here, I'm not going to read all of it, but it just says here, publication of Attorney General's legal advice. The following day, this is back in 2018, the government published a 6-page letter from the Attorney General addressed to the Prime Minister, dated the 13th of November 2018. This set out the Attorney General's response to the question, what is the legal effect of the UK agreeing to the protocol to the withdrawal agreement on Ireland and Northern Ireland, in particular, its effect in conjunction with Articles 5 and 184 of the main withdrawal agreement. In the written statement accompanying the document's publication, the Attorney General confirmed that this was a copy in full of the final advice that I provided to Cabinet on the 14th of November on the legal effect of the withdrawal agreement. So it seems here that Geoffrey Cox, who was the Attorney General at the time, published the legal advice. Now, he didn't do it on the first go. If you do read the document, there was a massive back and forth in the House of Commons, putting pressure on both the government and the Attorney General to publish the legal advice. And if I'm understanding this document correctly, then he eventually did. Now, he was also requested to publish legal advice on other Brexit-related issues, but I don't think that actually happened. But on this one particular issue, the legal advice of the Attorney General was published. So it's not happened. It has happened, it seems. I think it's not necessary for the government to publish their legal advice in every scenario. But in this particular case, where the government is talking about an international agreement that was signed with the European Union, and this bill, which is going to eventually go through Parliament, it seems, this bill would allow government ministers to ignore parts of the withdrawal agreement, parts of the protocol, which would be in breach of this international agreement. So I think it's in the public interest, not because this is Remainers versus Brexiteers or anything, but I think it would be in the public interest to see the legal advice. Because I think the legal advice would be, no, you can't do this. She's saying it is legal. Well, put your money where your mouth is. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.